we're supposed to move on now to the debates. I cannot wait. I don't know. Can you guys wait? Please drop in the chats. I want to see some. I can't wait. Yes, let's move. Yes, 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 yes. Let me see that, that drive, that passion in the chat, please. Are you guys alive? Are you guys alive? Oh, I'm just talking to myself. Please let me see that reflect in the chat. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Yes, I can't wait. Good, great. Thank you. At this point, I'm just going to invite Hashim Adamu to handle this session that we've all been waiting for. Over to you, Hashim. Thank you.
Hi, Agnes. Thank you so much for that wonderful facilitation so far. Well, I can't wait either. I know I will be moderating the session, but then the passion and energy from behind the scene, I can't start to imagine the energy and the, what's it called, the enthusiasm and that's our young leaders will be bringing. So good morning once again. My name is Hashim Adamu, and I am an Africa regional representative of UNODC Generational Justice Youth Network. It's interesting that I'll be moderating this debate session. And like I mentioned earlier, it's indeed a honor and a privilege, and thanks to the Aliwa and the Project Spark for this opportunity. But before I start, I know the energy, it's still intense, but let me just give you a picture of what's something to imagine. Imagine Africa is standing behind, before us here, and on one side, we have a stretch of handshake, like an act of compassion from aid to relief and even solidarity, what you may call a handshake. And on the other side, we have an act that symbolizes mutual partnership and shared responsibility. So as an African who understands the challenges faced in Africa, what choice will you make? So this is what our young leaders are going to help us with ideas and thought and making the right choice and decision. But before I proceed, I want to make certain ground rules. And this debate is going to last for, this session is going to last for like 25 minutes. And each team will have a maximum of 10 minutes to speak. And the entire session is going to be in 3 rounds. And our thought is the first round is going to be like an opening statement. And then the second round is going to be more like a response, or if you like, a contribution, or share your concern regarding a point your opponent is making. And the last session is going to be your closing statement. And just to also stress that young leaders that will be participating in this debate are incredible personalities. I know one of the person is the regional, oh, thank you so much for that. This is Favour, and she has like a standing reputation academically and of course in her professional pursuits. And the other person is even the Africa regional representative of Ketskill International. So the energy is really, really, really intense from behind the scene. And this is where I stress also that let's also remember that in this room, there are aspiring politicians, aspiring diplomats, there are scholars, they are experienced resource persons. And the conversation we are going to have today, it's literally going to affect all of African stakeholders, because we are not just trying to address the immediate problem, but we are looking towards long-term sustainable solutions. So let the debate begin. Let me start with Alicious. Alicious, the theme of the debate is handshake or handouts. What do you think? Over to you, Alicious. Alicious, if you're speaking, your mic is muted. You may want to check that, please.
Okay,
yes,
sorry.
Thank you.
Am I audible? Can everyone hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you well. I appreciate if you're a bit more audible. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. I am Alicious Bessiama from Sierra Leone, and I bring you greetings from the land of gold, honey, and milk. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed judges and worthy opponents, allow me to paint a vivid picture of the current state of it in Africa. Today, we stand at a crossroads with a critical question. Are non-governmental organizations actually offering an impact to development in the African continent, or they are only giving a mere handout? I stand before you I sit before you this morning to argue for the motion that NGOs in Africa are giving me a handout. They are providing these handouts in disguise of charitable gesture, failing to provide sustainable development in Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to start by making this very clear. It might sound disheartening, but it is crystal clear that Africa will continue to linger in poverty, will continue to thrive and drive with underdevelopment if we continue to appreciate the current nature at which NGOs are operating in the African continent. While we delve into this depth of the debate, we must also acknowledge the noble intention behind the work of the NGO. At the same time, we should also not lose sight over critically analyzing the effectiveness of their impact in the African continent. The history of NGOs in Africa can be dated back in the early 70s to the 80s. It's quite too long. Africa will have been a paradise, serving as a reference point for other continents to come. Africa has all the natural resources, and we have the human capacity development to become one of the best. We have everything. The West run to Africa to gain natural resources and all. But where is our stand today? The big question is, despite we have approximately over 400 to 700,000 non-governmental organizations in Africa, the big questions that I want to leave with everyone this morning is, have Africa moved away from the shackles of the many problems that we are encountering? Have we been able to remedy the many challenges that we are going through in the African continent? Africa is a rich continent. We have talent and resilience. But why? Ladies and gentlemen, I urge you this morning to consider the harsh realities faced by many African nations. Why aid often only provide a short-term relief, leaving no sustainable impact on the African continent? I want to challenge every leader this morning. When we talk about ethical leadership, I want to practically and emphatically say that there is nothing like ethical leadership in Africa. I stand to be corrected. It is disheartening. You can see from my facial expression that it's burdened my heart to argue on this particular point. Imagine the continent that will have been a paradise where the West will run and seek advice and they will seek for resources. Africans are the most, if not for the influence or the belief that the West have made us to see that Africans are weak, I can practically tell you that the wisest people that ever existed can be found in Africa. But with all of this, what have we gone to show? Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to join me this morning to advocate for a shift from the current operation of NGOs. They are giving me a handout. The major problem we are encountering is 90% of people go into non-governmental organizations to make money, not to create the impact. We are using the African community. We use our power. We take situation of the circumstances of the less privileged to make money. Come to Africa, where non-governmental organizations only provide a smoke rising report at the expense of the poor. They will write calculated and false report just to make money. Throwing light to what the keynote speaker was saying, with no disrespect, but I want to outrightly say that the many instances he was talking about, the children youth empowerment is critically not visible. I live in Sierra Leone and I'm coming from the eastern part. It is quite disheartening that most of those governmental organizations operating in Africa, why they leave, the relief they are providing is entirely not creating any kind of sustainability. It's only providing short-term relief. Let's make reference to the Ebola and the coronavirus. When people were provided with short-term relief, today those people are still lingering and dancing in poverty. Without much ado, and for the exigency of time, ladies and gentlemen, for the first NGO in African development. Let's replace this handout with handshake. Together, we can shape the future of Africa. Africa has everything it takes to change Africa into the better version, but because we have been brainwashed. This reminds me of the assumption made by Birago Diop, a one-time African writer, who has been very much sentimental to the Western ways, thereby paying little or no attention to their culture. He further went ahead and said Africans can no longer succeed in their own culture, neither will they succeed in the Western culture. We have found ourselves in the middle of the deep sea. This is why, despite the impact they are creating, the NGOs are creating, we have found ourselves in the middle of the deep sea. Where is Africa? Take, for instance, Nigeria alone can produce more than 400,000 non-governmental organizations. But why is Nigeria still it is? Talking about my own country. Me today in advocating for a better shift. And I want to end my introductory speech with a quote from Muammar Gaddafi. He says, let's be the change that we want to see. For African to move, for African to develop in every aspect of his life, I think we need Nelson Mandelas all over Africa. We need generational four leaders if change is to see. I will continue to say this again. We will continue to dance in poverty, endure inequality, underdevelopment, and having nothing to show if we continue to appreciate the current trend at organization. There is a short adage and very brief one that says, when you give a man a fish, you've just fed that man for a day. But if you teach the man how to fish, I can assure you that man will be fed for forever. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alicious, for that wonderful introductory statements. Indeed, let's replace handouts with handshake. Well, that's your opinion. Thank you so much. So, Favour, again, back to you. The topic still remains saving Africa, handouts or handshake. And you've heard from Alicious. I know you have your a remarkable introductory statement. So over to you. Thank you, Favour. Favour? Okay, she's still struggling too. Favour, if you're speaking, your mic is muted. Please, you may want to check that.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, loud and clear. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, for being here. My name is Onoh Favour Ijoma from the eastern part of Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, when we think about developing Africa, many perceive handshakes from non-governmental organizations as petty, demeaning, and offering minimal real assistance. Some even view Africans as beggars in these interactions. However, I strongly disagree. Handshakes from non-governmental organizations are pivotal to Africa's development. Handshakes symbolize collaboration, commitment, and partnerships. They represent the concerted efforts to drive progress and innovation. Non-governmental organizations are at the forefront of this transformative change. They facilitate development through training, education, and the likes, significantly impacting communities across the continent. Non-governmental organizations serve as catalysts for sustainable growth. This holistic approach ensures that development is inclusive and far-reaching. In essence, non-governmental organizations, through their collaborative handshakes, drive substantial and sustainable development in Africa, proving that these partnerships are far from exploitative. They are essential. Permit me to give you some examples. NGOs have played vital roles in community development, such as healthcare, education, and economic empowerment, as well as peace building, conflict resolutions, and international partnerships. With a look at the Rotary Club, an international humanitarian organization. According to a 2020 study by the United States Department of State, the Rotary Club has significantly impacted Africans since its inception in 1905. Notably, Rotary's contribution to the Global Polio Eradication Initiative helped Africa achieved polio-free status in 2020, as declared by the World Health Organization. Rotary's educational programs have provided thousands of scholarships, improving literacy and job prospects, and also funded school reconstruction, such as those in Lagos, Uyo, and Gikambura School, Kenya. Economically, Rotary's microfinance projects have empowered many, especially women, to start businesses, boosting household incomes and economic stability. Example, Amina from Nigeria and Grace from Kenya, who received loans, expanded their businesses, and increased their household income. Also, Rotary's vocational training programs have reduced unemployment by equipping young people with necessary skills. The role of NGOs in African development through handshakes cannot be emphasized. Therefore, I see these handshakes as not exploitative. They are neither demeaning, but they are essential to African development. Thank you.
Indeed, the handouts are essential for African development to address the immediate relief. Thank you so much for that wonderful introductory statement, Favour. Alicious, you may want to respond to some of the concerns here, and you just have a few minutes to do that. I'm just gladly also to inform you that the chairman of this occasion has added a few minutes to you guys' debate, because it's like the energy, cutting it the time will not be too ideal. So we just have extra few more minutes. So Alicious, over to you, please.
Yes, thank you once again for your question. Of course, listening keenly to what my contender was saying, it is crystal clear that Africans, we have passion in lying. You know, it's quite disheartening that all of these things you was listening here are clearly not visible to a clear context. You know, the issue of loans, she was talking about the provision of loans to NGOs that have made that provision, but what is the sustainability of that? I will give you a scenario wherein currently they are running after people village to village in quest for them to pay back because they are not properly trained how to take. You know, the problem is the impact is there, but there is no sustainability. How do you expect a native man to thrive with a foreign policy? They bring those policies, they bring those development initiatives, and then they tend to impose, how can you even solve the problem of a native man without involving the native man into it? I can practically say that my colleague contender there is suffering from a psychological disorder we call cognitive dissonance. Her beliefs are not even in line with the action. She is talking about employment. Can she clearly present to me the rate of employment for young people in Nigeria? Do we know how many thousands of non-governmental organizations we have in Nigeria? I want her to kindly provide to me the rate of unemployment rates in Nigeria. I can't talk about my country. Do you know how many graduates we have? They are seated at the back. Non-governmental organization has created, and they have created a fixed concept. They already have people. In fact, some of them, they employ people. Talking about employment, she is clearly lying, and she is a testament to what I'm saying, that employment is everywhere. Come to Africa, it is everywhere. Moving further, talking about education, why is that wants to be an still struggle with free qualification? If only, how do you know how many NGOs we have in Sierra Leone that are operating within the educational scheme? We have thousands of them. Reports indicating from development experts that the impact of NGOs in Africa has not been sustainable, and it can never be sustainable if the African man do not begin to think like an African man. We need to begin to think like an African. We need to develop our own initiatives. We have gotten this fake initiative that we cannot make a change on our own. Oh, Africa, my daughter, rise up. You are sleeping, wake up. How do we expect this change to happen? You have already been brainwashed, giving me a fake statistical analysis. This is how NGOs used to do. They provide fake analysis, they take pictures of of people that are deprived, they send them to donors. Why do you think today most projects are being supervised by the foreign, those that are providing the aid themselves? Because they want to see, they have been deceived initially. So they want to see the actuality of that. The problem we have is we have shied away from ethical leadership, and we believe that in Africa, for you to succeed, you have to be a liar, you have to be corrupt, you have to have a pollutive mindset, you have to subject to things that you are not supposed to subject to just because you want to make ends meet. The problem we have is Africans go into the world of NGO to make money, not to create any impact. I want to challenge that, and I want her to provide more statistical evidences, like she was claiming. So it is a mere handout. Mr. Ladies and gentlemen, and my distinguished judge, it will interest you to know that the fact that young people are suffering. We have countless non-governmental organizations in SPIA that has not been able to solve the problem. Let's talk about poverty. People have been fed for a daytime, but do we still not have poverty in Africa? You go to people that are begging. We have education, graduates have no job. Inequality. I don't know if I have much time and I can drive into more.
No, it's all because I'm getting concerns that I'm giving Alicious more time already. Alicious, I think over, it's fine. You can end it here. Hold of Africa, Alicious, calling you. Thank you so much, Alicious. Favour, you've had these concerns and shared his opinion regarding some of the statistics and points you raised, and you may want to, of course, address them and even shed more light on some of the issues you feel he needs to know better. And of course, let's stress also that this is a debate, like somebody said, not a war. And of course, we really like the passion and energy, and sometimes we wish we can even stream this live for our current leaders to see, even why we try to address the pains of today, let's work for the gains of tomorrow. So Favour, over.
Thank you so much. Now, I want to make it clear to opponents that non-governmental organizations, which we know as NGOs, are not the government of the day, but they play a crucial role in fostering leadership, business, and technological growth through strategic partnerships. These organizations focus on leadership development by offering training, mentorship, and resources which empower individuals and communities to drive social and economic progress. For instance, the Young African Leaders Initiative, YALI, has trained thousands of young leaders across Africa in collaboration with various NGOs. This was founded by the former US President Barack Obama in 2010 during a visit to sub-Saharan Africa, and it aims at providing young Africans with skills and opportunities necessary to foster positive change in their communities and countries. YALI focuses on entrepreneurship, leadership development, and public management through the Mandela Washington Fellowship, YALI Regional Leadership Centers, and YALI Network. Now, according to a publication conducted in 2020 by the United States Department of State, YALI has trained over 25,000 young leaders across the continent, and they include John Smith from Nigeria, who established a tech startup aimed at improving agricultural productivity; Fatoumata Diallo from Senegal, who initiated a health awareness campaign targeting rural areas; and Kwame Mensah from Ghana, who launched a digital literacy program for disadvantaged youth. And as a result, YALI alumni have become influential voices in their communities and countries, advocating for youth inclusion and contributing to sustainable development goals. Furthermore, NGOs also play a vital role in addressing social, economic, and environmental challenges. And a prime example is the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, established in 2000. It has significantly impacted Africa by combating diseases like HIV/AIDS, malaria, and tuberculosis, supporting vaccine distribution, and promoting agricultural productivity through initiatives like the Alliance for a Green Revolution in Africa, AGRA. Their efforts have helped eradicate polio, reduce malaria deaths, and improve food security for millions. Partnership with figures like Aliko Dangote and the Mo Ibrahim Foundation illustrates their transformative impact. I still stand by saying that for Nigeria or Africa to be saved, it is through this collaborative handshake that we can just achieve this. Thank you.
Thank you so much once again, Favour. Well, incredible as always. Alicious, now we are wrapping up. I will just allow you to respond to the fact that, yeah, you requested for more examples and statistics. I'm glad she mentioned Yanni, Pete, and Melinda Gates. This is where you give us your closing statements. Thank you so much. Alicious, over. And yeah, we really love the energy and passion, and of course the African way, but we want it to be more a bit diplomatic. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. I will continue to reiterate that she has been brainwashed and she's not thinking African. That is the more reason she.
That's why I said you should be a bit more diplomatic. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So moving on, lack of sustainable impact, dependency on aid, inadequate addressing of systemic issues, and lack of community empowerment. These are the key issues that we cannot lose sight over when we look at the impact on non-governmental organization in the African sphere. And now, as we clearly know, we are all aware of the operations of non-governmental organization. This is something factual, this is something practical that we are truly, operating with every now and then. Ladies and gentlemen, indeed for Africa to become sustainable, to become stronger, to start producing the results that we want, we must build genuine partnership. Partnership that we have to involve the local man into the operation on the development of his own problem. It will be very easy for the local man to add value to the problem that he or she is being sought for. It will sound odd if you move to my own community and then you want to solve the problem in that community without involving me. You might only get answers that will not last long. Ladies and gentlemen, for non-governmental organizations to succeed in Africa, we need to take them through ethical leadership. I can practically say that majority of those leading those institutions are not ethical. Looking at the way at which they are doing their operation, they are sentimental. They do not operate to the African policies. It is because if you come to implement a project in Africa and you are funded by someone in the West, you are surely going to be remote controlled by that individual. So capacity building can be another option. We need to prioritize capacitating our own local assets. I can assure you there are Africans who have used scrapped materials to build radio stations, to build an helicopter. I watched recently a Nigerian who was able to build an aeroplane using scrap and it flies. This is just a clear indication that if African can give energy to providing support to the native man, we can be able to solve our own problem. We have resources, we have diamond, we have minerals, we have gold, we have everything. Why not this non-governmental organization prioritize building a long-lasting impact other than only following these policies? This is because we have been totally dependent on aid. And when you become totally dependent, you become entirely lazy. Let's say, for instance, if you send your child to school and providing every single thing for that child, the day you will not provide for that child will not move further. This is why some parents or a social psychologist once said, for society to move point A to point B, we need people that are developmentally oriented. And how do we develop these developmentally oriented people? You should not be overindulgent with your child. At the same time, you should not be too cruel with that child. When that happens, to be able to build developmentally oriented. And these are the set of things Africans need. We need to build people. We need to rebuild ourselves. We need a farmer. We can make a change. We can make progress. The West can come to us. We can start offering aid to other countries. It is always that thing you see. Have you ever heard of African giving scholarship to the West? for them to come and read in our countries is simply because we have those NGOs with their hand-out vision have made us total that us we can no longer think. Our innovation have been whacked. Our level of thinking has increased. We have people have influence. Even when they brought civilization, when they brought religion, they made us believe that our own fathers, our ancestors. Let's say what they say is true. Does that mean all our ancestors are now in hellfire? They're trying to look for means to keep us from thinking. We can make a change. We can actually create that impact that we want if we invest in what? Building our own resources, capacity our own individuals, building strong partnerships on genuine, emphasizing on transparency and accountability. That is what is in Africa. We lack transparency and accountability. We normally blame our leaders, but if you even go to the NGO world, this can be visible every aspect. Conclusively, it is evident that the role of NGOs in Africa development is crucial one. They hand out by immediately to communities. It is this organization that moves beyond short-term innovation. We have if all of the impact NGOs have made in the area of education, health, climate change, and all that systemic areas, if it has been sustainable, dated back from the early 70s, I can assure you, African will have the best continent to reside. They have the power to even strengthen our leaders. When they come, they will have to work with the leadership of every country, especially in countries where politics is the order of the day. Like, for instance, in my country, where certain projects can be approved based on political affiliation, and they have accepted to dance to the tunes of this political drama. And how are we expecting this change? They are very good in lying. That is just the practical aspect of it. They will come and do fake and baseless. So, Africa is the best continent, and we have everything it takes to become one of the best continents and the paradise on earth. But we have to invest in ourselves until we begin to believe in our own local products. We will not go further. A man think that he can only achieve by the help of another man will never be able to build a roof on his head. This is what I take from my father. He says, as a young man, if you want to do something, do it to the best of the knowledge of everyone. If Africa decides to do something to the best knowledge of the world, the West will come and they will seek aid for Africa. Until and then we change our mindset, we remove that ideology that impacted in us and pick up what was preached by our ancestors. What the African man is preaching, we can make a positive change. Until and then, I thank you once again. Bye.
Thank you so much, Alicious. Indeed, the need for investing and collaboration and all cannot be overemphasized. And yeah, Favour, I'm back to you again for your closing statement. And you've heard Alicious, of course, the African way, the energy, the vibe, and I think one thing he has repeatedly stressed is that Africa can be a paradise on earth. So perhaps you may want to also share your concern, give your closing statement. Thank you, over, Favour.
Okay, thank you so much, the moderator. Yes, I agree that Africa can be a paradise, but though, can we look at our current state? Not looking so deep, but just look. You can see that Africa is already becoming a paradise gradually. Yes, of course, the Westerners are coming to be us here because they see the resources we have. They see what we have, they see our talent, and they see our willingness to work and work with them as well. Therefore, I would like to state that handshakes, that is through these NGOs, they drive Africa's development, and it's becoming very much evident in our time because this is what we are seeing. And I would love to conclude by stating that NGOs have profoundly impacted Nigeria and this our wonderful continent, Africa, through collaboration and empowerment. Let me remind us that handshakes symbolize effective partnerships that drive sustainable development in education, infrastructure, and economic growth. This initiative fosters independence, of course, discouraging dependence. It enhances healthcare and builds resilient communities. By addressing pressing issues such as poverty alleviation, diseases eradication, and agricultural productivity, NGOs create lasting positive changes across the continent, Africa. Their role in fostering transparency and accountability further strengthens Africa's development. Handshakes with NGOs are essential for mobilizing resources, expertise, and innovative solutions, ensuring long-term sustainability and a brighter future for all of us in Africa. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that wonderful closing statement. Indeed, I know there are concerns also and discussion, especially around regional cooperation and South triangular cooperation. Thank you so much once again in favor of that. What sharing NGOs are supplementing the work of government, among all other things that, of course, will be addressed by David. But I will be handing over the mic to Agnes to continue the impressive moderation and facilitating this session. But let me end by thanking Project Spark and Adiwa and all of you, the participants who were so diplomatic. I love the fact that you keep your mic muted, even when the energy and the support were coming from behind the scene. We are all professional in this. And thank you so much for making this session a wonderful one. Agnes, over.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Hashim. That was a beautiful one. And just listening to Alicious and Favour, I was just, at some point, I was just about to shout, Aluta continua. So yes, thank you so much. That was how much energy and passion you exuded. So